Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the season premiere of Rick and Morty, Edge of Tomorty, Rick Die, Rick Peep. And I fucking enjoyed this one. This was a nice start and just had some good stories going throughout. So we start off and we see that everybody's having breakfast around the table and everything, and it's just interesting how they're going through their day. Rick pretty much has like an auto response chip in his head to like get through the whole kind of thing. And Summer is like making fun of Morty pretty much cyber stalking Jessica on Instagram, with the mother being like, Summer, stop being a little bitch, and Morty, stop cyber stalking this chick. And evidently Summer was kind of jealous of the funeral photo that Jessica was able to get with her deceased relative, and was trying to kind of push it on Jerry, and that's like, stop that shit. So Rick's pretty much like, fine, I gotta go do my own shit. Come on, Morty, I need you to help me get death crystals. And it's really kind of crazy because Beth's like, no, what do we talk about? And he's like, Morty, would you like to come help me get death crystals? And he's like, yeah, sure, I will. And Rick is just like, seeing him see just like, even with that, it's like, fine, whatever. And they pretty much go and they find these death crystals, and they show you the many different kind of possible ways of your death. And only like really boring people have this one way. And the biggest issue comes into play is that Morty finds one that shows him like him dying and Jessica telling him that she loves him and all that. It's like, oh cool, I need to do this. And it just, he goes on a very Rick-like path of like doing his own thing to achieve this. And before they kind of get to that point, of course, there are crystal poachers that pop up, and Rick just shows how fucking awesome those crystals can be if you know how to use them correctly. He's like, oh yeah, certain death, reloading, and boo, 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 just taking them all out. It was just a really nice action sequence. It was just pretty well done and pretty funny. And of course, Morty is using the crystal in his pocket, and Rick is really, at least at the moment, none the wiser. But as we're getting through, he's like, hey, let me drive, because he wants to get to this death. He's like, what are you doing? You got a death crystal, don't you? I thought you were just masturbating. He's like, how is that any better? I mean, wouldn't you acknowledge that or whatnot? And it's like, oh god. But the thing is, because Morty's being a stupid asshole, kind of like certain things that Rick does, he crashes the ship, and it kills Rick. And then, of course, there's this thing that Rick has implanted in him. You're like, hey, I need you to get a tissue sample from that so that way we can clone this and get this kind of done. But, of course, Morty's like, fuck that noise. That messes up my death. So I'm just going to continue on my Jessica course. And this, of course, leads to problems because Rick has contingencies for these things. And throughout a little portion, we just see him pretty much being, like, auto-dumped into various different worlds, clones of Rick. It's like, oh god, okay. Pops up the one, hey, how's it going and everything. He's like, oh shit, this is a fascist one. No. He like pretty much is able to get that world's Morty to kill that world's Rick. He's like, he was a political one anyway. And pretty much holds our Rick at gunpoint, telling him to take him on an adventure. Rick is able to do some quick thinking and uses a Meeseeks to pretty much, he's like, say, kill the Nazi Morty, and pretty much kills him and like the Clockwork Dude and actually himself. So he gets dumped into another one. Nazi one all over again. Gets thrown into another one. This time he's a shrimp, but it's still Nazis. And like, fuck, why is this the default? So that was a pretty funny bit before he eventually gets thrown into a wasp one, and it's like, wasps were pretty much dicks. We kind of had to have a little empathy. No fascist here. I was like, damn. Still, when you see him kind of like eating the like, I don't know what it is. I would say it's a worm slug thing that is the math teacher dude. Then they're just eating on him as he then also poops out his own kind of young that Morty eats up. And evidently the wasps ones are the like most well-adjusted and can evidently sting you in certain places for the young to like bust out of your head. That actually becomes important later on. So we see that Morty, during these courses of things going about, has pretty much gone to school and is still on his course. His holographic Rick is pretty much trying to get him to do what he needs to do. Having like weird protester people eating holographic chicken and everything like that, and bringing up, hey man, you eat your stuff, but it's not holographic, so it doesn't exist to me, huh? Right? Interesting kind of exploration of fleshy versus holographic. And Morty's just doing everything that he can to kind of make sure that this death occurs, doing weird shit in class, walking out. He eventually sets off a bully. He's like, fuck this shit. Goes into Rick's garage, uses a certain code that lines up with the whole death thing, arms himself out and fucking, as they say throughout this episode, goes Akira, and just starts like annihilating stuff. He's put the death crystal in the center of his forehead and does some like crazy Rick level shit, actually. Granted, he doesn't go full blown asshole Rick of fuck everything, but he is doing this for his own personal gain to achieve something that he wants. Eventually, pretty much like flying through the seat of his pants of using the crystal to get out of a court case, because he pretty much launched the bully dude into the stratosphere, and I'm pretty sure he died, because it's going to be hard to come back from that. Goops up the other bullies, takes out, he fucking uses like this weird thing that like cuts these guys into pieces and they like grow legs and shit. He's taken out the military, but somehow he gets off because he's able to like spout the judge's dead husband's kind of like words or whatnot. It's like, what the fuck? And then the big coup de grace. He gets invited to Yo's skinny dipping with Jessica and some girls, and he's fucking like, no, I'm going for this death. I'm like, you fucking dumbass, you idiot. And he's just going towards this death. I'm like, no, fool, why? And he pretty much goes out to this desert, gets this weird kind of fucking thing, and it's like turns into this plant thing. He's like, I will do this. I'm like, how the fuck does any of this work towards that end? Of course, this is when Rick has pretty much been put back into kind of his own clone body, brought back by Wasp Rick, and they pretty much go and are able to rip Morty out and get the death crystal off of him. But at this point, holographic Rick gets taken up by this weird kind of creature thing, becomes real, and Wasp Rick just like, fuck your shit, stabs him in the eyeball with a stinger, and then larvae kind of pour out and blast open his face. It's like, holy shit. We then get towards the end of the episode where, of course, Rick and Morty kind of like get to the whole lesson of the whole thing, being like, yeah, I think it's try and plan as much as possible, but also live in the moment, because he was going moment to moment and just ending up in like fascist places that just kept fucking killing him. The best one was when he was the teddy bear. He's like, he saw it, and they were like talking about fashion, and he's like, fuck this shit, and immediately killed himself to get out of that. I was like, god damn it. Oh, of course, Jerry and Beth were trying to pin this on Rick. Morty owns up to it completely, and it's funny to see like Jerry talking about Akira and like anime and all that kind of shit, and Rick just like, I'm not having any of your shit, Jerry, fuck you. And they just keep going on their kind of like Rick and Morty kind of spree as they're talking about what's going on with like season 4 and everything. Summer tries to make fun of them and they call her out on her bullshit. That's where the end happens. They get to the end and we see that Jessica has decided that her career path is she wants to go into hospice and tell people who are dying that she loves them. And Morty's like hearing this and like, fuck this shit. Rick's like, hey, you wanna, and like, if it involves gasoline and spiders, fuck it, do it, let's do this. And then he's like, well, don't try and like twist my arm into this kind of shit, but I wasn't going to start that place, but now that I know you're up for it. And they go off. I'm like, this was a pretty decent episode. Seeing Morty come into understanding how he fucked up, and Rick, of course, kind of just usually kind of flying by the seat of his pants in certain respects and still being able to kind of like work his way out of it. That was kind of interesting juxtaposition to kind of see what's going on with there, while also just having a kind of fun time of seeing what's going on and just having crazy situations that just kept escalating. The whole fascist thing was kind of funny to see how it kind of changed up, all the different kind of Rick dimensions that he got into, while also Morty pretty much fucking cockblocking himself, while also very well executing his plan. He would have gotten to that death, but he would have gotten to probably a better death if he had just fucking took his head out of his ass and been like, Jessica just asked me to go skinny dipping with like all these other girls and everything. Why the fuck wouldn't I do that? And then the coup de grace at the end was just crazy. He's like, fuck it, let's just do our usual shit and just see how that shit goes. So I liked how this opened up the season. I can't wait to see what other crazy ass shenanigans they're gonna get to and just how fun it's gonna be. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.